Hello everyone, thanks for tuning in to our live stream. So we are discussing the 5th Winter 2019-2020 update for you this afternoon. So we released the 5th Winter update. We released the 5th Winter update earlier on this morning around 10 a.m. And it seems to have gone down quite well. But there was a little mistake in there, but I'm sure you noticed in the final batch of the analogs. I'll talk more about that in a moment. Yeah, the update seems to have gone down quite well, and I'm going to try and take as many questions as I can in this live stream. So if you've got any questions that you'd like answering about me to update, then I'll do as best I can to answer those questions. We're going to be here for around an hour till around 6 o'clock this evening. So after that, I'll have to go off and write up the written version of the winter update. So if you're waiting for that, it'll be quite late, probably around 8 o'clock this evening. I'll get that posted on the winter updates page. Now, I see we've got a few people with us already, so let's just quickly go through the chat. We've currently got 20 people watching us this afternoon already, so hello and thanks for tuning in on this Sunday afternoon. So please like the video, give us a thumbs up, let us know that you're enjoying this live stream. That'd be absolutely great if you could do that. So we've got Callum Timmings with us saying hi. Hi Callum, thanks for tuning in on this Sunday afternoon. Also Shiram is with us, so thanks for tuning in Shiram. Hope you enjoyed the 5th Winter 2019-2020 update. Alex Duncan is with us saying, hey Gav, a very snowy morning here in Calgary, Canada. 15 centimetres of snow fallen with 10 centimetres more expected. Quite something for the end of September. So yeah, I've been looking at that actually. There's been a few pictures of that posted in the chat at Gav's Weather Vids, and I'll see a few pictures on Twitter as well. Looks like real heavy snow into parts of Montana and up into Canada. So yeah, it must be very unusual to get that depth of snow in September. It must be very, very, very unusual indeed. If you can let me know, Alex, how rare this is. I'd love to know, but I imagine it must be a very unusual occurrence, to say the least. We've got a new radar on Gav's Weather Vids, rainfall radar, and it does show up snow. And I was having a look at the snow. It's still snowing there in that part of North America and up into Canada at the moment. So the snow is still falling. I think it started yesterday. So very significant snow event taking place up there in the far north of America and into Canada. So yeah, very unusual times, and obviously it's going to be a very, very long winter for you guys that have got this snow, I would imagine. Adam Blunsley is with us saying, hi Gavs, I heard going to be a hurricane, not a hurricane, but a storm next week. Of course, the big story overnight, other than the snow in Canada, the big story overnight was that the hurricane that we've got in the tropical Atlantic at the moment, which of course is Hurricane Lorenzo. Lorenzo went up to a Category 5 hurricane overnight, rather unexpectedly. I think it was anticipated that this hurricane would weaken down to a Category 2 as it approached the Azores, but overnight it actually powered up to Category 5. It is currently a Category 4 hurricane. It's gone back down to Category 4. And it's a very significant area of low pressure, and this area of low pressure is going to be heading northwards through the Azores as a hurricane in the next couple of days. And then as we get through towards the end of this week, it's going to move north into the northern part of the Atlantic Ocean. And it may well give us a bit of a blow at the end of the week. There is some uncertainty about it, though, how quickly it's going to come in. Will it sort of get absorbed within a bigger area of low pressure in the North Atlantic, or will it actually come in as an area of low pressure in its own right around Thursday or Friday? So there's still quite a bit of discrepancy between the model output about this area of low pressure containing the remains of this hurricane. But yeah, definitely a a very, very severe hurricane at the moment down there in the tropical Atlantic. And as I say, overnight it did actually briefly go up to a Category 5 hurricane, which did cause a lot of interest, a lot of chatter on the forums and on social media as well. I've got 48 people watching us at the moment, so thank you so much all of you for tuning in. Out to 52 people watching. Thanks so much for tuning in on this Sunday afternoon. So we've also got JARIS993 with us saying my name is spelled like Toyota Yaris, so I suppose that's Jaris, and we don't need to say the numbers. Okay, Jaris, thank you for letting me know how your name is pronounced, and we'll get it right in future. We'll get it right in future live streams. VK24 is with us. So hi Gav and hi VK. Thanks for tuning in on this Sunday afternoon. Friend Mark Johnson is with us as well. Afternoon Gav. Let's kick off with a random question. What's your favourite day of the week? Don't really have a favourite day of the week actually, Mark, but I suppose in terms of the video output, Sunday is kind of like the most interesting day I think on the channel, and also on GavsWeathers.com, because of course Sunday is kind of like when we do the more experimental stuff, sort of the longer range type stuff. So I would probably say Sunday is the favourite day, certainly from a WeatherViz perspective. Be interesting to know which days you will prefer actually in terms of the weather videos. So is it Sunday when we do the longer range experimental stuff, or is it another day? Let us know in the live chat. I am going through the chat as we're talking. Again, I have to say that I may not be able to get through everyone's questions this afternoon. So I'm going to do as best that I can. You can super chat, and then your question or your comment will be highlighted, and I'll see it. Otherwise, it's just the luck of the draw, really, whether I pick up on your question as I'm scrolling down through the live chat. We've got James Clayton with us. Hi, Gabs. Will the hurricane come up to the UK this week? So as I was explaining a minute ago, James, there is a bit of uncertainty about the track of this hurricane, what it's going to do. It's definitely going to go through or just to the north of the Azores, and it's going to push northwards into the North Atlantic. Whether it hits us as an area of low pressure in its own right, because it won't be a hurricane, it will go sort of post-tropical and become a post-tropical area of low pressure. Whether it hits us as an area of low pressure, or whether it gets absorbed within a bigger area of low pressure sitting in the North Atlantic, and then all of that pushes into the UK at the end of the week, into next weekend, remains to be seen. So there's uncertainty there, but definitely we need to keep a close eye on this area of low pressure that contains the remains of Hurricane Lorenzo, because it could become a significant area of low pressure at the end of the week, and it might just give us a glancing blow kind of to the west of Ireland and the west of Scotland, or it might get absorbed in a big area of low pressure in the North Atlantic, or it might hit us as an area of low pressure in its own right. That's what the model output was showing yesterday. I think some of the models have backed off from that idea a little bit today. So it'll probably be tomorrow, maybe Tuesday, but we'll have a clear idea about what's going to happen with the remains of Hurricane Lorenzo. We've got 59 people watching us on this Sunday afternoon. Thank you so much, all of you, for tuning in, and please smash your like button. Let us know that you are enjoying this live stream. So let's have a look at one or two more if we can do that. So we've got Mortal Whiz Boy with us saying, hi Gav, hi Mortal Whiz Boy, hope you're enjoying the live stream. I hope you enjoyed the 5th winter 2019-2020 update. Also we have got Global Weather Updates with us saying, hey Gav, hey Global Weather Updates, thanks so much for tuning in, my friend. Also got Paul Stanya with us. Hi Gavin, it's Sunday, it's 5 o'clock, it's Gav's chat time. Yes indeed, so hopefully we're beginning to build up a little bit of an audience now for these live chats, and hopefully people are remembering that 5 o'clock on a Sunday afternoon there's going to be the live chat at Gav's Movies. I don't do a huge amount of promotion for these live chats. I don't plug them hugely, but hopefully we're building up a little bit of a following. Anyway, I hope you're enjoying the live streams that we're doing here on the channel to coincide with the winter 2019-2020 updates. Mark Johnson also asking on a slightly more serious one, what do you think the odds are of another cold winter on a scale of 2010? So, too early to say in relation to that, Mark. We are still relatively early in the winter updates, although a little bit surprisingly, actually, we're around halfway through now with the winter updates already. Hard to believe that's possible, but there we go. We've got 13 penciled in, and we're already up to update number 5. So it's a little bit early to say in terms of talking about odds of a cold winter. I do think some of the things that we are looking at with these winter updates are possibly pointing us towards perhaps being on a colder side of things. We know we're around solar minimum. We know we have the tripole in the North Atlantic in May and June. I think the May NAO analogues that we started off with in the first winter update seems a very long time ago now, doesn't it? But I think those analogues were quite compelling. So there's a few pointers towards perhaps a colder winter. But I mean, it's still really early days, and there are a lot of things that we need to focus on a little bit more, I think, over the next few weeks before we get a clearer idea. Obviously, December 2010 was a very, very extreme cold month. It was virtually the coldest December since 1659, just around 0.1 of a degree off that. So it would take quite something to get another December to remember, but who knows, weather is always finding ways to shock us and to surprise us as well. So just going to be a case of watching this space on that one. I think got 70 people watching us this afternoon. Thank you so much, all of you, for tuning in. Don't forget to smash the like button and let us know that you're enjoying this live stream. James Clayton is saying, hey Gav, will the hurricane come to UK? So we just talked about that. It looks like this area of low pressure that contains the remains of the hurricane of Lorenzo is going to push into the North Atlantic through the middle and second half of the week. The exact track, though, is uncertain. So, again, we're just going to wait and see about that one. Iceman is with us. Good evening, Gav. Good evening, Iceman. Hope you are enjoying the live stream. I hope you enjoyed the 5th winter 2019-2020 update. Did you all notice the little mistake within the analogues in the end of the video? We looked at analogues in terms of pattern matches for May. Personally, I'm not sure which Mays you felt were, not May, what I'm talking about, September, pattern matches for September. Not sure which Septembers you felt were the closest match, but I thought 2004 was a pretty close match, and possibly 1978 as well. But instead of showing the analogue for the winter of 2004-5, I showed the analogue for 2005-6. Completely missed that one. So, I did notice that I'd done it once, but of course by the time I recorded it was too late to go back and do it again. So these things happen. We had 70 tabs up for this winter update. And obviously, with such a high amount of content within these updates, things are going to occasionally go wrong. So any mistakes that do occur, then I'm very sorry about that. But of course, as I say, with such a high amount of content within these updates, then things can and do go wrong. It shouldn't make a great deal of difference to the overall all years and all months combined charts, though, that we finished off with when we put all of those pattern match years together and showed you the all winters combined, and all Decembers, all Januaries, all Februaries combined charts. It shouldn't make a great deal of difference if one one of the winters is out. So let's carry on through the chat anyway. But yeah, I'm admitting there was a mistake, and very sorry about that. We've got Mark Kanish with us asking, "Hi Gavin, this November will be 100 years since the cold November of 1919. Has this year been similar to that year or not? Really enjoying the winter updates as always." So I don't think, Mark, that this year 2019 has been particularly similar to 1919. The autumn of 1919 was very strange. It had a really hot early September, then it went much colder in the second half of September, and that set up a very cold autumn. Actually, despite the fact that it started off on quite a hot note in the beginning of September, actually set up quite a cold autumn. So I don't think this year 2019 has been that close to 1919. Actually, go down through the chat again. So we've got JP Romeo's saying hi Gav. So hi JRP. Hope you're enjoying this. Hope you're enjoying this live stream, my friend, and hope you enjoyed the winter. Hope you enjoyed winter update. Paul Gerling is saying, "Hi, folks. A little rough out there at the moment. Not sure where you are, Paul, but certainly there's been some pretty wet weather across northern and eastern parts of the country. Where I am, it's not been too bad. Actually, it's been mainly dry here today. I was expecting it to be a wetter day, but certainly through the North Midlands into northern England, it's been pretty wet, pouring with rain all day, really, through much of northern and eastern England. And winds have been pretty strong as well across more western and southwestern parts of the country. So autumn is well and truly with us. Autumn has well and truly descended, I think we can definitely say that. We've got 75 people watching us now on this live stream. So thank you so much, all of you, for tuning in. And I hope you're enjoying this live stream that goes with the 5th Winter 2019-2020 update. Brendan is with us. Brendan Wellesby saying, good evening from southern Finland. There's currently snow in northern Finland too. So looks like winter is descending in the far north, certainly the far north of Europe and also the far north of America and Canada. Winter is already knocking on the door, perhaps across some of the northern latitudes. Mark Kanish is also asking, so the storms we're getting now, do you think any will be like October 1987? Let's hope not, though we don't get hurricanes like America in the UK, do we? So no, we don't get hurricanes with too far north, famous last words, with Lorenzo heading our way, but our ocean temperatures are really too cool to sustain hurricanes. Nevertheless, we do get very significant areas of low pressure. What happened in 1987, for example, is that we had hurricane force winds. Was an actual technical hurricane, but it doesn't make much difference if the wind strength is up to hurricane strength, and that's what happened in 1987. As for whether we'll get anything like that with this autumn, it's impossible to say. Really, there were a few unique circumstances about the 1987 storm, but that's not to say we couldn't get a recurrence of those circumstances. So let's just hope we don't get anything too severe in the days and weeks ahead. But you can't rule anything out with the weather, honestly. So a very significant windstorm is not to be ruled out, I don't think, in the current rather lively pattern. But hopefully we won't see anything as significant as what we had in 1987. So Jarvis is asking, Gav, what do you think about the start of this autumn? Seems pretty nice and normal for this time of year, but rain is needed. So yeah, it's been very dry up to the last week or so, hasn't it, Jarvis? Plenty of fine weather, high pressure dominated weather, then all of a sudden, like flicking a switch, the weather has well and truly turned, and we're now in a much more unsettled and mobile weather pattern. It looks like this unsettled weather is going to be staying with us for the foreseeable future as well. So yeah, the rain's needed, especially in southern and eastern parts of the country, and I think there's going to be plenty of it in the days ahead. VK, if we can just go through the chat, we've got VK asking us, I'm going to write down the chat, so I'm going to scroll back up. So we've got VK asking us, imagine this weather setup in UK continued in winter. This would have caused lots of snow events due to somebody tracking low pressures. What is your opinion? So, yeah, it's possible this could have been quite a coldish setup, what we've got at the moment. The jet stream is on a southerly track, and the NEO is back in negative territory again. We don't really have a huge amount of northern blocking at the moment, but it's certainly quite an interesting weather pattern, to say the least. If it was to be maintained, or if it had been maintained into winter, it could have been a little bit on the cold side. Callum Turley is with us saying, hi Callum, hope you're enjoying this live stream discussing the 5th winter 2019-2020 update. We've got Harvey Harbour with us. It was so windy in South Wales, way windier than the weathermen thought. I recorded 70-mile-an-hour gusts, so it's been really, really blowy then down in the far southwestern part of the country across South West Wales and South West England. Certainly very, very autumnal afternoon out there. Although I thought it felt quite warm this morning where I am, but certainly it's cooling down a little bit this afternoon. JRP Romeo saying, hi Gav, will Lorenzo interact with Jetstream and push it further north? The Met Office mentioned this if it interacts with Jetstream and redirect the Jetstream further north over the UK. So all I can say at the moment about the remains of Lorenzo is that it looks like it's going to head north into the northern part of the Atlantic. It may get caught in the jet stream and sort of spun into the UK and give us a direct hit across Ireland and the UK, such as we had with Ophelia a couple of years ago. That could happen. Alternatively, it might get absorbed in a much bigger area of low pressure in the North Atlantic. That appeared to be kind of the situation that the models were indicating this morning. I haven't seen this evening's models. Well, the GFS is only updating as we're speaking, and no other model is out yet for this evening. So it's just going to be a case of watching this space. Potentially things could get quite wild at the end of the week. But the alternative scenario, then it just gives us a glancing blow, or it gets caught up in this much bigger area of low pressure that's going to be sitting to the south of Greenland. We will still eventually get the remains of it, even with that, but it may not be as severe as it would be if the jet stream was to send the low pressure containing the remains of Lorenzo spiralling into the UK. We'll be talking about this in tomorrow's video, in depth, in tomorrow's video update. Mark Johnson is saying impossible to have a hurricane in the UK. Only ex-hurricanes still can cause a lot of damage. Yep, that's right. The sea surface temperatures are too cool in this part of the North Atlantic to be able to sustain hurricanes. They go post-tropical, become ex-hurricanes, but still with the potential, at least, for hurricane force winds at times. So they can still cause a lot of damage there. So going through, we can see that we've got Soft Shallow with us saying, hi Gav, hi Soft Shallow, thanks for tuning in to our live stream this afternoon. Hope you find it interesting. Don't forget everyone to give us a like and let us know that you are enjoying the live stream. Dagger11331 is saying, I didn't expect you to say Sunday, so I think that relates to which day is my favourite. Definitely from a weather video perspective, I think Sunday is the most interesting day because that's the one that's a little bit more experimental, where we're doing the long range stuff. Prince is with us asking what will the winter be like in the Netherlands. So it's too early to say, Prince. It's too early to say for the UK, where we're primarily doing the forecast for, never mind any other area of Europe. All I can say is just keep watching this space. Hopefully things will become clearer as we get closer to the winter. Remember, we're still only at the end of September, so it's still very early days to be able to issue a forecast for this winter. So I say just watch this space and we shall see. We've got Alex Duncan with us saying snow isn't rare at this time of year. I think this relates to Canada. So snow isn't rare at this time of year, Gab, but the amounts certainly are. 40 centimetres fell here on October 2nd, 2018. I've certainly got my stove fixed since emigrating from the UK. Well, thanks for letting us know that, Alex. I did wonder whether it was rare or not to be seeing that sort of level of snow. So it sounds like it does snow in that part of Canada this early in the season, but the depths and the amounts are perhaps a little bit surprising. So yeah, Canada, really cold country, of course. If anybody's able to do it, and they like cold and snow, then Canada is definitely one of the places to go. And of course, the summers are very nice as well. Paul James is with us. Afternoon, Gav. Afternoon, Paul. Hope you're enjoying the live stream, and thanks so much for tuning in. Andrew Barker is with us as well, saying afternoon, Gavin. Afternoon, Andrew. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope you're finding this live stream interesting, and hope you enjoyed the winter update. Andrew is also asking any update on the QBO. So we included it a little bit in this fifth winter update. It looks as though the EC QBO could just be starting to begin to move back down a little bit lower into the atmosphere. Next week we shall have the number for the QBO in for September. So I would anticipate that will be very similar to last month's update. It may even be ever so slight increase on the Westerly QBO number that we had last month, on the positive number that we had. If that happens, don't be overly alarmed, as I explained in last week's winter update. When we have these descents from a westerly to an easterly QBO, we have these transitions, sometimes we do find a stall taking place in the transition, and sometimes that can actually drag on for a little while, but I doubt it's a sign. There will probably be speculation that we're going to see a situation such as we had in 2016, where the easterly QBO failed and we just continued with the westerly QBO. I doubt that will be the case this time. There's no reason to think we're going to see a failure of the easterly QBO this time. So probably this is just kind of a bit of a stall within the transition, but then things will start progressing on into the easterly QBO as we get through towards the end of the year. That's what I was anticipate. Anyway, remember when we had the failure of the easterly QBO, there was the super El Nino going on, so that was probably the main cause of that failure of the ECQBO. We don't have that super El Nino now, so there's no reason, I don't think, to assume that we're not going to go into an easterly QBO. Andrew Watson is with us saying, hi Gal, I saw Finns in Norway got its first snowfall about a week ago. It's at 1,222 metres, but it always seems to be very vulnerable to early snowfalls, even more so than places further north. So yeah, I did hear about a few snowfalls across parts of Norway and up there in northern Scandinavia, Andrew. So, yeah, definitely winter is knocking on the door across the northern latitudes, and it's not going to be long now before we start seeing that snow cover advancing, the snow line advancing across Russia and Siberia, and also piling up across Scandinavia as well. I would have thought, certainly through October is when we concentrate on how quickly snow cover is advancing across Russia and Siberia. Let's see if we can do one or two more. So Dagger is asking, do you think the QBO pushes tropical features more eastwards, preventing landfalls from happening? Not sure about that, actually, Dagger. I'm not sure about the connection between the QBO and sort of tropical storms or hurricanes. So that's probably something I'll have to look into. So we've got Katrine with us saying, I am greatly enjoying the live stream video. Thanks so much for tuning in, Katrine. It's great to hear that you are enjoying this live stream. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up and let us know that you are enjoying it. Andrew is asking, do you think the NAO and AO will go negative for the winter period? So again, it's too early to say on that, Andrew. You remember what happened last year when we had, we had the NAO negative for 2 solid months through October and November. And then what happened? We got to virtually the first day of November and we sent the NAO positive, and it stayed positive then pretty much throughout the whole of the winter. So I think it's far too early really to be giving any predictions about what's going to happen with the NAO and the AO. It does look as though since the summer we have entered into sort of a prolonged negative phase, certainly of the NAO, probably of the AO as well. But it's a little bit too early to be able to say that that's going to carry on into this winter. I suppose if the tripole was to come back that we had through May and June in the Atlantic, that would favour a negative NAO. So it's possible that could be the direction that we're going in. But again, we're still only the 29th of September, so really early days. Epic OP, Gav, why does northern blocking give you westerlies in the summer but easterlies in the winter? Well, you can get easterlies in the winter from northern blocking as well, Epic. I suppose the difference is that in summer, because there's much more energy available, because the atmosphere is warmer and the seas are warmer, you would tend to generate an area of low pressure trough underneath the blocking. And of course, the way the winds rotate around low pressure, that will tend to give sort of westerlies, depending on the position of the trough. Of course, if the trough is to the east of us, then the winds will be coming in from an east or northeasterly direction. But in summer, I suppose it's just the position of where the trough tends to form underneath the northern blocking that allows those westerlies in. Whereas in the winter, there's much less energy available. You do still get troughs of low pressure underneath the blocking within winter, but the troughs tend to be much flabbier, much wider and broader, and they tend to be more focused across central parts of Europe as well, kind of to our south and east, which allows the wind to pull in from a north-easterly direction. Paul Falconer is asking QBO and NAO positive. I'll bank on it. So I think Paul's saying that the NAO is going to stay westerly and the QBO is going to stay westerly and the NAO is going to go positive for this winter. So we shall see. I think we will descend into the easterly QBO, but how quickly it happens, whether we kind of get a lingering westerly QBO, certainly into the first part of the winter, then we transition to the easterly QBO, remains to be seen. But I still think we're gonna switch from the westerly to the easterly QBO in the next few months. I see no reason why we wouldn't. We haven't got that Super Nino that we had back in 2016, but I think caused the failure of the easterly QBO then, and just a continuation and strengthening actually of the westerly QBO, which was very unusual. Shirley is asking, hello Gavin, long overdue a cold snowy January. September 1978 looks very close. Match to September 2019. Well, actually, yes, I did think that for the pattern matches, I did think that September 1978 was a fairly decent match, and also 2004. They're the two that I felt were the closest matches. So yeah, it's been a long time since we had a very cold January. The last time we had a really severely cold January was probably 1979, and before that 1963. So I know it did have a very, very severe spell of weather in January 1987, but it only lasted kind of a week or so. So this overall temperature for January 1987 as the month as a whole wasn't particularly severely cold, although that spell, that week in the middle of January 1987 was probably the coldest single spell of weather that we've had since 1740. So it's not to underplay how severe that cold spell was in 1987, but for a month as a whole, I think you've got to go back to January 1979, and before that, January 1963. So it would be has been a very long time coming, definitely. we shall see whether January 2020 delivers a severely cold month. We shall see. Lee Jackson is with us saying, hi, having a cold October to come with a thumbs up. So I think Lee might give us a little bit of a forecast there, that we're going to have a cold October. It's been a while, hasn't it, since we had a cold October. I think October 2012 was quite cold. And before that, 2008, of course, had some snow at the end of October. But has been quite a long time coming. We've had a cold October. Before that, you probably have to go back into the 1990s even. So maybe this will be it. We'll have to wait and see. But it certainly looks like it's going to be a very unsettled start. It certainly looks like it'll be a very unsettled start to October. Right, so let's see if I can find one or two more of your questions. Again, I'm going through the live chat as we're doing this, so I'm picking out as many as I can. If I miss anybody out, then really sorry about that. You can super chat if you want to have your question highlighted. Alternatively, if I miss it, you can ask it again next week. We're going to be doing these every week right way until we release winter forecast on the 1st of December. So you have plenty of time to get your question in if you can. So let's see if we can find one or two more. I've lost my place in the live chat, so I'm just going to scroll down through. We've got 74 people. I did notice a couple of minutes ago we went up to 77 people watching. Thank you so much for tuning in on this sunny afternoon. Don't forget to smash the like button and let us know that you are enjoying our live stream this afternoon. So we'll be running this until 6 o'clock, and then I'll have to close it down and go off and write up the written version of the the 5th winter 2019-2020 update. So if anybody's waiting to have a read of that, that will probably be up on the on gavsweathers.com around 8 o'clock tonight. I would have thought probably between around 8 and 9 o'clock. Takes me a little while to get that written up. Alexander is with us saying, hello Gav, what do you think the odds are of having a white Christmas? Again, far too early to say about that, Alexander, but what I can say is that Christmas updates will be starting quite shortly. So in terms of written Christmas updates, next Sunday, when I'm going to have the first one of those on the website, gavsweathers.com, and then on the 1st of November, that's when we will begin the video updates of Christmas. A video countdown for Christmas 2019 will begin. The first one will be on the 1st of November. So some people really don't like Christmas updates. They think it's all a bit silly doing it so soon in November. Some of the feedback that I've got. Other people really love Christmas updates. I enjoy doing Christmas updates. So the Christmas updates will be starting very, very shortly. Going down through the chat and looking forward to more questions. We've got Brendan Wellesby saying the December to remember in 2010 happened after a more active solar cycle 23. So at the start of solar cycle 24. Cycle 24 has been the weakest for decades, so it will be interesting if this will impact the coming winters. Good point, Brendan. Yes, it's definitely been a weaker solar cycle overall compared to solar cycle number 23. So it will be interesting to see what, if any, impacts that has on the winters as we move out of solar cycle 24 and into solar cycle 25. Trying to move on through the chat a little bit more. So we've got Alexander saying it was extremely rainy today in Brighton with strong winds. It hasn't been that much rain where I am in Northampton, although it is raining at the moment. I know further north there's been quite a deluge across parts of northern England. So, yeah, it's been a very wet day, some parts of the country, and as we've already said, it has been very windy as well in the south and the west. Callum Turley is saying you are the best, you are so accurate. Well, thank you so much, Callum, that's really, really kind. Thank you so much for saying. It's whatever people think. It's not really for me to judge the accuracy of the forecast. I think we have a pretty decent rate, but again, it's for all of you to, it's for all of you really to see what you think, and if we are doing a useful job, then you'll keep coming back and watching the videos, hopefully, and you'll keep visiting gavsweathervids.com. But thank you so much. That's a really, really lovely comment, Callum. Thanks so much for that. We've got Tricky MG saying we need a good winter to remember being too long now. So, yeah, you've got to go back to 2012, 2013 for the last time we had a cold winter. And, of course, before that we had a run of cold winter starting with 08, 09. We were going through to 12, 13. They weren't all cold. We did have 2011, 2012. It was a milder one in the middle. But generally we had a series of cold winters from 08, 09 to 12, 13. Haven't really had one since that. We did have the beast from the east, of course, at the end of winter of 2017-18, but 17-18 wasn't a particularly cold winter in its own right. So let's just say that it's probably going to be time before too much longer to get a colder winter, and leave it at that. We've got funniest comment saying, Gav, do you believe we are currently in catastrophic global warming? We don't actually discuss global warming on Gav's Weathervid's funniest comment. It's a subject that I prefer to keep away from, really. There's too much controversy about it. It's got very politicised as well, which is something that we don't do on Gav's Weathervid. So there are plenty of other channels that discuss global warming, climate change, climate emergencies, climate catastrophes, all that kind of thing. It's not something that we do on Gav's Weathervids, and I think that has actually held us in pretty good stead over the years, that we kind of stay away from that debate. I basically say it's above my pay grade, so I'm just here to tell you what I think the weather is going to be doing over short, medium and long range timescales. That's my job, and it's for other people to discuss that. So we shall move along from that comment quite quickly. But thanks for asking it anyway. Funniest comment. I hope you're enjoying the live stream. So we've got one or two more. Shiram, how are you going? What's your all-time favourite rain turning to snow event with heavy falls of snow settling? Oh, that's a good question, Shiram. I'll have to have a think about that. So I remember back in the 1980s, there was a very unexpected snow event that started off as rain, probably sometime in the winter of 1985. Could have been 86, but I think it was probably either January or February 1985, where the forecast have very much pointed to just lots and lots of cold rain. It did start off as cold rain, but then very quickly turned into heavy snow. So that's one of the ones that stands out. Thinking of another one, probably December 1990. That was a very interesting rain to snow event. So it was a Friday night. It was pouring with rain. I think it was the 8th of December 1990, the night of the 7th to the 8th of December 1990. It was pouring with rain all through the Friday night. It was still raining at around 6 a.m. on the Saturday morning. I remember this quite clearly because it had been forecast. This one had been forecast to turn from rain to snow, and I got up early to have a look out window and was a little bit nonplussed when I saw that it was still pouring with rain. But then within around half an hour or so, it started to turn to sleet, and within around now by 7 o'clock in the morning, it had turned to snow. And then the rest of that Saturday morning was just very, very heavy snow. A wet snow as well, so it really stuck to all surfaces and piled up. So they're probably the two that I remember best, I would say. So sometime around February 1985, could be out on that. I was quite young then, but sort of remember that one. And then December 1990. So we've got Celine D. Hi Gav, I'm really enjoying the updates. Look forward to them every week. Thanks so much for your work. Well, that's really kind, Celine. Thank you so much for that. That's really lovely. And as long as people keep enjoying the updates and want to come back and watch them and visit gazworthies.com and read the updates when we do the written versions, as long as people are enjoying it, we're more than happy to provide it. So thank you so much for that. That's really, really kind. We've been talking for nearly 3/4 of an hour. We've still got 71 people watching. Thank you so much, all of you, for tuning in on this Sunday afternoon. I hope you've enjoyed this live stream. We're going to be here for another 15 minutes or so, and then I'll have to close the live stream and go off and write up the written version of the 5th Winter 2019-2020 update. But thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. We've also got one or two more, if I can scroll down through the chat. So we've got Leon saying that he's going to Blackpool next weekend. So if we've got the remains of this hurricane, if we've got the remains of Lorenzo knocking on the door, you could be in for a pretty interesting weekend, Leon. It could be pretty wild and wet up there in Blackpool next weekend. But again, there is a lot of uncertainty about the exact track of this area of low pressure, and we will be discussing it much more when we do. We'll be discussing it much more when we do tomorrow's updates. Jelma is with us. So hi Jelma, thank you so much for tuning in this afternoon. Nearly this evening now, I think we can say. Autumn is looking interesting. On the one side, we've not really had a real zonal circulation. Also, no real rising over the continent, ridging I think that should be, no real ridging over the continent or near the Azores. Looks like a negative NAO hopefully continues. So yeah, it could be that we're going to have an unsettled spell, but perhaps a little bit colder than like a traditional sort of autumn spell of zonality, which would normally be relatively mild, dragging the winds in from the southwest. Maybe this one will be more sort of unsettled, but with southerly tracking areas of low pressure and cooler air, or even colder air, to pull into the north and west of Europe at times. I think it'll be interesting to see how things pan out, I think, over the next few days. So we've also got Michael Dunn with us saying, hi Gav. Hi Michael, thanks so much for tuning in to our live stream, and don't forget to smash the like button, let us know that you have enjoyed it. We've got Music Dude saying, hi Gav, I am flying from Belfast to Poland on Thursday morning. Do you think Storm Lorenzo will affect me? It's too early to say about that, Music, but I would say do keep in touch with the forecast. So that's what I can say about that at the moment. The exact track of the remains of Lorenzo is to be determined. It may hit us as an area of low pressure in its own right. It may get absorbed within an area of low pressure in the North Atlantic. It may sort of give us a glancing blow. We may get a direct hit. So there's lots of mights, mays, and maybes about this. And obviously, if you've got any concerns about what weather could be doing on Thursday, then primarily keep a close eye on the UK Met Office. Of course, keep a close eye on whatever announcements are being given out by your airline who you've booked with. So it's too early to say, but definitely watch this space and keep in touch with the UK Met. Keep in touch with the severe weather warnings, and also keep in touch with any announcements that's being made by your airline. So I'm way behind in the chat, so I'm going to have to start skipping on a little bit to try and get through some of these. Sorry to anybody that I'm not going to be able to answer your question for. I always feel really bad when you've gone to the trouble of getting involved in the chat, and thank you so much everybody for getting involved in the chat. I always feel really bad when you've gone to the trouble of getting involved in the chat and asked questions, and I'm not able to give you an answer. But again, we're just having so many people get involved with this that we're restricted to an hour because I have to do the written version of the winter update for anybody that can't watch the videos. So I have to close this down at 6 o'clock. But if I miss anybody out, then really, really sorry about that. And again, you can always ask next week or in the coming weeks, because we're going to be doing these right way until the 1st of December. So we've got David saying, hi Gav, is a negative QBO somehow related to a negative NAO? I don't think there's any connection really between the QBO, the quasi-binary oscillation, and the North Atlantic oscillation. Of course, an easterly QBO does favour a weakening of boson westerlies. So you will probably get an association. We know that easterly QBOs tend to be increasing the chance of a colder and more blocked winter. So you will probably see an association between a negative NAO and a negative an easterly QBO. But again, there are so many winters that come out mild with an easterly QBO. It certainly isn't a guarantee. Michael Day is asking, I think we will have a better chance of a colder winter this year, Gav. The signs are there. Certainly a few of the things that we're looking at in winter updates are pointing in that direction. But it's only the 29th of September, so I think we have to keep our feet on the ground and just see how things progress over the next month or two. So we've also got Leslie Coyle. Hi Gav, do you think we are due a truly epic winter, or do you think the intense winters are always an abnormality? Thanks for doing these vids. I always enjoy my Sunday Gav time so much. Well, thank you so much for that, Leslie. That's really, really kind. And as I say, as long as people are enjoying what we're doing, we're happy to keep providing the updates. So thank you so much for that. As far as the question is concerned, well, yes, obviously intensely cold winters are an abnormality. They are very much the exception to the norm. Even just standard cold winters, such as 2012, 2013. I mean, even that sort of winter for us is an exception to the norm. Really, our setup is primarily west-southwesterly, Atlantic driven. It's just purely due to the area of the Earth that we happen to be living in. So, yes, intensely cold winters are very much an abnormality. And as I've said in past videos and live streams, if we was to ever have another winter like 1963 again, or 1947, well, I suppose when we have a winter like that again, I don't think it will be forecast beforehand. I suspect we will be able to pick up the idea of a cold winter within long-range forecasting. But when you get those very, very extreme sort of locked-in blocking patterns stretching out over several weeks or even months, I suspect that is largely unforecastable a lot of the time. So it would tend to be a surprise. I don't think many people would see it coming before it happened. And whether it could happen this winter, of course, the odds of getting a severely cold winter are always going to be very low in the UK at the best of times. So probably not, but nothing can ever be ruled out with weather. It's always looking to find ways to shock us and to surprise us. So we've got 74 people watching us this afternoon. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in, and just hope you've been enjoying this live stream. Tanner Ballard is asking, Gav, it's absolutely amazing how hard, or saying absolutely amazing how hard you work for these winter updates to keep us entertained. It is clear you work really hard to keep us updated on our weather, current affairs. Thank you so much. Well, thanks so much for that, Tanner. Everybody's comments are really, really lovely and really kind. So, I say, as long as people are enjoying it, we're happy to keep providing you with the content. But thanks so much for that lovely comment. Going down through the chat, Brendan, Gavin, you have a special gift of explaining complicated, complex nature of the weather. This has produced a great variety of personalities on your Gav's website. A lovely community. Well done. And again, thanks so much, Brendan. I wasn't expecting to get all of these lovely comments, but you really are all very, very kind to be doing that. So thank you so much for that, Brendan, and to everybody else for posting these really, really lovely comments. I'm always blown away by how nice people are. Chelsea Bill, Gav, could you maybe do some analysis of Hurricane Lorenzo or some ensembles watch of the ensembles which are updating? I've got a little bit late in my live stream now, trust me. I'm going to have to wrap this up at 6 o'clock. And I've got a few more questions to answer. So I would just say wait until tomorrow. We'll be going over Lorenzo and all of the impacts that could have in tomorrow's weather video. So for tonight, I'm not going to be able to get any more content in. I've got to wrap this live stream up at 6 o'clock, and then I've got to go and write up written version of the 5th Winter 2019-2020 update. So I'm not going to be able to get any more videos in tonight. But tomorrow, we will have a really good look at what's going on. So we've also got, if we can go through the chat, as I scroll through, it's kind of jumping down to the very bottom, so then I have to push it backwards and go back to where I was in the chat. So G. Scott is saying, Dad, you're the only channel I watch beside Met Office 10-day train. Well, that's really kind, again, G. Scott, so thank you so much for that. And thank you, everybody, for all of the lovely comments. Taryn is saying it's been a rainy day here in South East, so it seems everywhere has been quite wet today, but where I am in Northampton, we haven't actually had that much rain. It was very wet last night, but today it's actually been quite dry, although it is raining a little bit now, but it looks like we've missed out on this a little bit in Northampton. Andrew Hamilton is saying, hi Gav, we had a long series of plumes and cooler plunges this summer, indicative of a very buckled jet stream. Do you think this trend is a good signal for lawn blocking this winter? It could be, Andrew. This could be something that's associated with where we are in the solar cycle, amongst other things. When we are around solar minimum, we do tend to get these buckles in the jet stream. But of course, it's the luck of the draw whether you find yourself on the warm side of that buckle or on the cold side of it. So it just depends where the troughs and the ridges set up, or I suppose the blocks and the troughs where they set up. But yeah, it is sort of the sort of thing that you do tend to associate a little bit with where we are in the solar cycle. And certainly within the winter updates, we are going to do a solar special. We're definitely planning on doing that. So we're going to have a look at reanalysis in one of the winter updates. We're going to have a look at reanalysis for solar minimum at winter, so that'll be quite interesting. Let's scroll down and see if we can answer one or two more. So we're going to wrap this up in around 5 minutes. Still have over 70 people watching. That's so great of you all to stick with this live stream for an hour. Thank you so much, everybody, and thanks for commenting and asking questions and all of your lovely comments as well. That really is lovely of all of you to do that. Pike Ken is with us. Any chance of a cold snap? I live in the southeast and I'm sick of this mild weather. Oh dear. Well, it certainly looks like it's going to go a little bit cooler around the middle part of the week. So it's going to feel fresher, definitely, around Tuesday through to Wednesday. Central northern parts of the country may even get their first widespread air frost, actually, on Tuesday night into Wednesday morning. Then we've got the remains of Lorenzo coming to North Atlantic. That's probably going to push up the temperature in the second half of the week. I would imagine it gets quite warm and humid. Of course, that might be associated with wind and rain as well, depending on the exact track of Lorenzo. Once that pushes through, though, and I think it'll go through by next weekend, we're probably then into a relatively cool sort of west-northwesterly flow. And overall, the first half of October is looking relatively cool, I have to say. There's no sign of anything particularly warm coming up. Equally, there's no sign of anything very cold either, but then we are only sort of into early October in the next couple of days, so you wouldn't expect anything really cold this time of the year. But certainly it will be feeling autumnal, I think, over the next few days. You're going to know it's autumn, I think, in the coming days. So, again, I'm just scrolling down to the bottom of the chat. I've got so many comments coming in. I'm not going to be able to get through all of these. So, again, I'm really sorry to everybody if I've missed any comments out. You will be able to ask them again next week. But thank you, everybody. It's been really, really great, the response to not just this live stream, but all of the live streams that we've been doing, actually. It's been It's been a phenomenal response. When I said we were going to do this, I wasn't particularly sure whether we would have that much interest. I wasn't particularly sure anybody would be particularly interested. But I come here, I do the live streams Sunday afternoon, and you're always there, ready and waiting. So it's really great. James Clayton is asking, hi Gav, how strong will winds be, and will there be a snowstorm? So I think this relates to Lorenzo. So you can't say how strong winds are going to be yet. It depends on the exact track of Lorenzo, as I've been explaining it over the past hour. So it's too early for that. Whether there's going to be a snowstorm, definitely not in the next couple of weeks. It is only October. Will there be a snowstorm in the winter? We shall have to wait and see, and that's what we're going to be trying to answer when we do the winter updates, of course, winter forecast on the 1st of December. Right, we're nearly at the end now. I'm going to have to wrap this up and then go and get myself a bit of tea and then write up the written version of the 5th Winter 2019-2020 update. Again, thank you so much for tuning in on this Sunday afternoon. I think that's pretty much all we're going to have time for. So thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. So sorry to anybody whose question I couldn't answer. Again, such a huge volume of people get involved with these live streams and the chats that I try and answer as many as I can. But there's always going to be some that unfortunately get missed out. But thank you, everybody, for getting involved and for asking your questions and for liking and for just being here with us on this Sunday afternoon. And at an hour, we've been talking for an hour, of course. I'm going to end the live stream there. Coming up in the next few days, we're going to have your regular updates. Next week, of course, we've got the 6th Winter 2019-2020 update, which is going to be a pretty interesting one. I think we're going to look at some September analogues and reanalysis for that one. So thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in on this Sunday afternoon. I'm going to end the live stream there. And thanks for watching and thanks for listening.